Hello everyone, Cheshire the Cat on the scene. I'm not even going to declare if this is the final episode or not. I'm just going to continue the case. Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand?
Miss Lana Skye, you're the chief prosecutor. I'm sure that you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years.
Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth.
Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister.
Oh god, wrong voice.
Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister.
I think I've steadily turned her into Mickey Mouse.
Haha, scientific progress. Scientific investigation.
Okay. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant.
Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma.
Except we already disproved that. Are you sure about this testimony?
Your Honor, I'm confessing a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana!
If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this.
That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself.
The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
I worked alongside Gant for years. How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years.
Detective Gant and Detective Skye were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases.
She must have been good, coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective. That's why. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. Not to that. But I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. Did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. Unless if Gant held that over her head. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana.
So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago?
When I found the Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Drake convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Actually, it did. Especially because of this. The witness's statement is clearly faulty. What? But he had Emma written on the jar.
I beg the pardon?
Okay, hold on. Motivation. Alright, let me backtrack a bit. In Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. You say you did this all by yourself. Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. A broken prosecutor's award knife in the victim's body.
Except we'd already established that's wrong.
What?
The prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident.
That's only a situation you dreamed was possible.
The reality is, it wasn't my sister that took the prosecutor's life.
Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement.
You mean the prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark?
Something like that.
If that is so, what happened to the murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife.
Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. I was probably knocked away during the struggle.
That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies.
All just to protect me.
So when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to.
Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife and planted it inside the wound, then moved the body.
How would you have had time for that?
You planted the tip of Dark's inside the wound sword, and then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders.
My head isn't that bad, but I probably ought to ask for the sake of the others.
Why did you plant the knife?
Why did you do that? Come now, Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out. Yeah, well, let's add this to the witness's testimony. The reason Miss Guy fabricated the knife. I knew the tip of the weapon found buried in the body was all the proof would be needed. According to your testimony, Prosecutor Marshall's broken knife was the murder weapon, right?
Yes, and leaving it that might point the blame away from Dark. Felt the most effective way to get him convicted. Would be having the tip of his knife found inside the victim's body. So you buried it inside the victim's stab wound? Yes, because I hated Dark for what he did.
Let's get Dark convinced it had nothing to do with Emma. Then move the body. Why did you move the body? Yeah, we heard all this. Why did you move the body?
It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk.
But the body was found by your desk.
If her sister had nothing to do with it, why would she have moved it?
So that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Guy moved the body.
Pieces of the jar that were shattered during the events threatened my plan. Pieces of the jar? You mean... Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body.
So, when you first found the body, the jar was already?
Of course, it had been shattered into pieces. When you look at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened.
Except it didn't. It was in one piece, and he was able to show that.
Because he had the ability to write Emma's name. In other words, the jar must have been broken during the struggle.
I see.
What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. But I have a feeling there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
She's completely alone. My only motivation... Go back. Shattered things threatened my plan.
No, it didn't.
Right there! Miss Skye, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister.
You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered?
If the truth were exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I'm compelled to bring everyone's attention to a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar in the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where my contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write this message on the jar, it must not have yet been broken before he died. Ow. He couldn't have written Emma's name on the shattered jar. Order, order. Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to the jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are. About the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth.
Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony.
I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room. I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered.
You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood?
I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase her real evidence.
Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination.
That's not quite right. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was too dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out.
Then why bother?
So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces in the ground and ground them to dust.
Well, that helps my case.
Anna, you do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence.
You must have been in a hurry.
I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came.
This is rather shocking.
To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I was sure I got them all.
Except you didn't. No, you didn't.
Gant got one of them. Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of the jar in Chief Gant's safe. In Chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night the prosecutor marshal was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. But couldn't the defendant simply missed a piece? No. I don't think she moved the bodies either. He had it all arranged to put her under his thumb.
That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Can you believe that?
Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken.
Oh, that!
There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness.
Not implying this person is Chief Gant. At the time, he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar?
The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that?
No!
If he was there first,
Wait, I'm not the one in trial here.
Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar, and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence.
Well, why would Chief Gant do that?
In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Leading her his aid, Gant helped to create the evidence to incriminated Drake.
Dark. Oh my god, I can English.
Sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Sky became the chief's puppet. No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the foul lies to defend their clients.
Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client. I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap?
Is something wrong, Mr. Wright?
Lana, maybe right after all.
What do you mean, Wright?
The cloth that has the handprint. So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Ow. Miss Sky, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Sky, if you will. I can't.
There's nothing to be afraid of anymore.
This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there's a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw.
All right. The witness may testify once more for the final time. Oh, boy.
When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on the suit of armor's sword. Emma and Dark were lying on the floor, unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if all was really a fabrication, Emma might be innocent.
Unbelievable. The body was impaled on the armor's sword. You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning.
What, to me?
It's a picture I took from the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed.
I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture.
I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. This morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her.
The book? Hold up.
No way. Is she that clever? Let's check the ad evidence again. Must be a picture in there somewhere. Yeah, would it Ah! Hey, there's a picture here. Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this, because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Mr. Wright! That piece cut out from his vest. Could that be? The cloth we found inside Gant's safe. What's this? The part that had her handprint. This is the handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whosever fingerprints those are must be a real murderer. What? But those fingerprints, they're yours. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. As long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flesh out the real murderer. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I don't like where this is going. Actual crime scene. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on the... Oh! Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant. What now? You want to make me out as the bad guy too? So I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of a noose tightening around your own neck. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you. I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I still present evidence. That's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. But someone does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death? Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, I'm sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. If you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? But I think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Let's see that piece of evidence. The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall. No. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie! Chief Gant? You opened my safe! I know you took what was inside! The conclusive evidence! I don't know what you're talking about. Ah! I got him to admit it. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence.
This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. And I exposed him. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her?
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, then when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid.
So you assisted Miss Sky?
I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room.
And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted.
When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you.
2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe?
But why? For insurance, of course.
Insurance?
I was sure my plan would work, but it's all best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off the pieces.
But if you fabricated all the evidence, so you didn't fabricate the message on this jar, too.
Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I keep one more item for insurance.
You mean the piece of cloth?
Come on, Righto. Cough it up already. I know you have it.
You waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth to cut off the victim's vest. You cut off the victim's vest in your safe.
Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
So he didn't do it. That's right.
Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late.
It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory's mine. I do not think he killed the other guy, but he did fabricate the crime scene. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now.
Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall.
Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest?
Oh, yes. At last, you finally brought it out into the open.
There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. The handprint on the leather. It must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean?
It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence.
Ho. You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy.
What?
Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Now why would that be?
You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, did you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well, I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is Miss Emma Skye. And I already knew that.
Emma Skye?
What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me?
You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me.
So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. Well, how could you? You monster! Miss Skye, you knew those fingerprints were her all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet.
But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career, too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer?
Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up.
Oh? And what's that?
Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves the real murderer is who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
But it was Emma Skye, wasn't it?
No. I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is.
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could it possibly contradict?
Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Wait. Why would he have cut it then? If anything, wouldn't he have left it?
And what exactly is this supposed to be?
This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of this vest was cut out? There's no blood on it!
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath.
It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked in blood. It's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. But that piece of cloth doesn't have any blood stains.
Wait, there's no blood on it.
Ugh. Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt she's the one she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time.
This is nonsense.
Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head and on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Skye, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar in victim's blood, a jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue, and make Lana believe her sister did it.
Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out the bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. No! It's finally all over. Objection! Objection! Oh, that was close, Rido. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. No, it isn't, because it's relevant to the case. What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Raji? Earlier, old Rido here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Rido? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence that I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair! Do you actually think you could best me in court? Looks like the last laugh's on you, son. But we proved it. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth? True. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems at last the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? You purposefully, illegally, this piece of cloth. Actually, I did not. I followed the legal steps. I admit, I refused to present it at one point. Ha! So the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean, you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved with presenting evidence. No, Haji, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe. There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well. Let's settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present the evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not a violation of the law, then do so now. That's an easy one. Right here. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have the approval of the police department. Rule number 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall, when was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No. He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth.
Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out the piece of the victim's chest?
Oh, yes! No!
It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant, the killer was you!
I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me.
Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty.
He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman.
Detective Goodman?
Yeah, that's right.
If the evidence isn't transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me.
Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit.
He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence.
Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room, and then all of a sudden he decided to speak out.
What are you talking
about, Goodman?
Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered.
He opened his evidence locker, and as he was taking it out, he said,
"It's not too late. I'm gonna hand this over to Marshall."
Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out.
Your doing so would only have led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime.
Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake.
The bloody handprint. Detective Gumshoe's locker.
I used to be known as the crime computer. But everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it.
Then you put the body in my car?
I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will.
Leaving the prosecution's car aside. How? How could you get Miss Skye involved in all this?
Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out.
So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker.
I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take.
So, you left the jar fragments in the glove.
Yeah. It looks like I was better off as being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay.
Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that.
Tell me, Worthy, Why do you stand in court?
Me?
You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day, you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator, and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you're no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Udgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't we worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sound of a new beginning. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have a reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. And the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what a high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. Aww. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky. And you too, Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. Humph. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky? Yes, Your Honor? You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as an accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Very well. This trial has gone on for far too long already. You damn freaking right it has! Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, say it with me, chat, not guilty. Oh. Oh. That was 14 hours of my life. Holy fuck. That is all. Court is adjourned. February 25th, 5:03 p.m. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook. But at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit.
Well, that's not it! Just now, after the trial ended.
I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And to you, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well.
You know, I did my best too. But Lana didn't say a single word to me.
I hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. God damn it, Gumshoe. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Get back here. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run around while on duty? On top of it, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh. Are you here because of my sister again? Nope. Not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me?
That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone.
Lana!
Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. Aw. Big lug.
Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it.
That day 2 years ago was the first time in my life I ever panicked. After all, it was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess.
Sis.
I asked Camp to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake. But now, I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself. But I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. You and me both. Scared you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew.
But sis, you were only doing it for me.
No.
Huh?
I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you.
Sis.
I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry.
But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now.
You're happy?
Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have.
Oh, Emma. Emma. Please tell me we get a big hug. Yay! Oh. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to the rightful path. And it is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least, that's what I felt watching these two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe. Me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth.
Right. Well, I'll be going now.
Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth? Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right.
You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day, you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to read. Sorry, chat. Sorry, YouTube. It's currently 3 in the morning. I'm ready to wrap this up. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone.
I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. In order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth? Who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me, and that's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth? Don't you understand? Demon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back on today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. I didn't press that button!
Oh, that's why there's a there's a thing down here.
Isn't that right, Mr. Wright?
Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz?
Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about.
Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own? What, my badge? That might mean something to you. But I don't see how it had anything to do with our partnership.
Huh? Mr. Wright, it seems you still have a lot to learn as well.
I guess that wasn't the right piece of evidence.
It's time for me to go.
Before you do! Edgeworth! 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 You're a drama queen. A total drama queen. Someone who makes a big mess and a big honking deal for others. But you did good. You did good. Edgeworth, good boy. I give head pat. Edgeworth, good boy. And now I take it away. Mine. Mine.
Mr. Edgeworth?
If you'll excuse me. There's still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor.
Edgeworth, what will you do now?
Well, whatever you do, just remember. You can let what happened to kill the prosecutor in you. Kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. Someone with more tech skill than me, please clip that. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? What I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. Drama bomb!
I better get going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit you soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here's a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will.
She looks cute when she smiles. And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this. But I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks in prison have a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright, there's one who'll be footing the bill. Mr. Wright here is the one who'll be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What, you think I could afford that with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. I mean, how many times did it get deducted by that jerk in respectable Edgeworth? Huh? 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 Thank you, Mr. Wright, you're the best! Why is it? I suddenly feel like I want to scream. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys, let's go. I arranged for a friend of mine in here to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to say I'm the top coroner. As for me, this affair's pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Find my way back to the field somehow. Then, I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. Well, alright. Real talk, am I gonna miss anything if I just continue after the credits? Oh boy. Yikes. I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, I overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's crime. If we penalize you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. Yeah, he got to keep his job. I'm not gonna lie, I was not a fan of the thumbprint mechanic on the PC, but not bad. Like, this was clearly meant for the DS. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm gonna make a detective. Yes, sir. Really? You have to do that again? My fucking ears. Alright, yeah, I'm skipping the credits. How do I skip the credits? Please. Let me do it. What button? Oh. Okay. Yes, because I need this nightmare haunting my dreams again. Oh, I finally died! You know what though, all joking aside, that was a really well written case. And this game was really well done. I am very much looking forward to playing the second game and third game down the road. Oh, what is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Mr. Star managed to sneak this in for me. She's seeing one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, looks like you did it. Even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? I'm definitely looking forward to playing the next two games. So that's something to look forward to in the next year. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while.
A farewell gift. I put a new meal on the menu. The Right Way lunch. The top layer has as bitter as defeat, but the bottom tastes as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. Just make sure not to eat it backwards.
That actually sounds really good. Bitter then sweet, never sweet then bitter. Same thing with salty. Never, I've learned never to have, like, salty before sweet, okay, but never sweet then salty. Yeah. It just tastes like burning. I'll never forget what the Young and Fitzlawyer said. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing this something for how many years? Well, anyway, I've got no trial to get to, so I better be... Oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, I gotta go. Oh, you finally see what his seat looks like. Neato. God, I've been waiting to give him that old man voice. He finally just turned senile with this case. What an awesome group. Okay. But, for real, I am not going to let my... Oh my god. Oh, Mia! Maya!
Nothing so like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick.
Boop. Oh my god, I keep forgetting how massive the cast was for this game. Ugh. Alright, is the game just gonna let me do this? Alright. I need sleep. I need sleep. So for the folks on YouTube... God damn it. Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth. I brought you your tea. What's going on? What? Okay, now I need to know. God damn it, Edgeworth.
Oh. Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book.
Oh? Oh, okay, that's cute. Achievement unlocked, rise from the ashes. Alright, okay, I'm glad I didn't skip the credits. And that brings the first game to a close. So, for the folks on YouTube, I'll be seeing you guys, if I'm counting my episodes correctly, I'll be seeing you guys in the new year after I wrap up Majora's Mask. Till then, Cheshire the Cat, signing off for the holidays. Hope you guys are having a wonderful time and a Merry Christmas. And a Happy New Year.